California's economy looks like a dumping era. It's looking too bad to the extent that people begin to question how America's beloved state will be in the next 5 years. So in this video, I will personally discuss why California's economy is stalling. When you glance through the heart of California, you will likely see a modern economy that runs on people who are able to work, live near work, and spend money locally. In fact, that modern California's housing market breaks that basic flow. Other states that are in America or close to California has their home prices extremely high, and let me not get started with the mortgage and rent, because those alone are burdens that absorbs a huge share of household income. Rent and mortgage eats every California's income, and if they are able to remain little for you, then congratulations. This leaves less money for local businesses and forces young workers, especially teachers, firefighters, retail managers, and tech support staff to commute far from their jobs or leave the state entirely. And once they leave, there will be some heavy consequences with practical results, which are the local shops will struggle to find customers and employees. The school systems and public services will be dealing with staffing shortages and even long commutes and productivity. The housing crisis kind of matters for growth, like the high housing cost must surely reduce consumer spending. The reason I say this is because families spend more on housing and less on other goods. The housing crisis will also shrink the local labor pool, which will make businesses not to hire affordably and can quietly and successfully choke the entrepreneurship pipeline, like the startups and small businesses that find it costly to retain staff and to base operations here. Economists and state analysts have reportedly pointed out that housing affordability is one of the largest drags on California's inclusive economic growth. On paper, California still ranks near top of the world for total GDP and has powerful high productivity sectors like tech, entertainment, and advanced manufacturing. Yet job creation across many mainstream sectors has cooled down like melted ice for the longest time. Since the devastating 2020 pandemic, employment gains has been uneven. Tech booms has been on headline swings, while construction, manufacturing, and local services have seen weaker recoveries or repeated losses. If you kindly check many local reports, it will show that job growth has slowed down and unemployment in some months has been above national average. This is like a satellite signal that highlights that California itself is not even trying to generate a consistent hiring process for people to enjoy across the state. To be honest, there is a mismatch, which are two to be precise. The first one is that the kinds of jobs that are expanding the most are AI research labs and capital-intensive cloud companies, which are high-skilled in concentrated areas where people's hands can't reach. They don't automatically create lots of accessible mid-skilled jobs nearby. The second one is that sectors that traditionally employ large numbers of people, like hospitality, local retail, and construction, are tied down by high operating costs and labor shortages. So, my dear wonderful people, growth exists, but it is unfortunately narrow, powerful for some communities and negligible for others who feel it the most. From 2020 to 2024, California added large numbers of international immigrants, but it also experienced sizable net domestic outflows. Some American residents were pissed about it because it took a toll on the state. Because of the uncircumcised situation, some Americans began moving to other states in search of cheaper housing, lower taxes, or different lifestyles. Over recent years, the state has lost hundreds of thousands of residents to domestic migration. When residents leave, they take incomes, entrepreneurial energy, and tax revenue with them. This will crush and weaken local tax bases, consumer demand in cities, and sub-hub who rely heavily on steady population growth to support shops, infrastructure projects, and schools. As this part slows down the California economy, even if GDP in tech hubs climbs because of few giant firms, the broader and wider economy will surely depend on population stability. A good number of people are those who shop at grocery stores, send kids to school, and work in hospitals. Persistent outflow will make it harder to sustain local commerce, reduce housing turnover, and complicate city budgeting because of revenue grows more slowly than cost. California homelessness crisis and public safety concerns in some urban cores are always in the front of the news year and year, but these are not the only human tragedies. They have economic effects too. The way unsheltered homelessness increases pressures on emergency services still affects the foot traffic for some businesses and still affects real estate and insurance challenges for downtown districts. For those entrepreneurs who are weighing where to locate an office, factory, or store in California, the homelessness crisis should be in your consideration notebook. Cities that don't feel safe or welcoming can instantly drive away customers and workers, which in return reduces commercial rents and local tax revenues. California has made large investments to reduce unsheltered homelessness and expand shelter and treatment options, and there are local pockets showing progress, but this escalation is on a large scale because how to continuously eradicate this issue will cost almost half of Americans' budget. The problem will mean that economy can persist and feed into perceptions that will surely affect investment and consumer behavior. When such cities are perceived as tough places to operate their business, they will already know that they will shut down their business the following year. California's regulatory environment is ambitious, which comes with strong labor protections, progressive climate policies, environmental reviews, and complex local planning rules. These rules are often advance important public goals like worker protections, emissions reductions, but they can also add time and cost to building housing, launching factories, or expanding retail footprints. Let me give you an example for better clarity. Environmental reviews and local zoning restrictions can delay housing projects for years and drive up construction costs, and permits and compliance can increase startup budgets and discourage rapid scaling. If there are restrictions, this will expand the years of housing projects which are actually meant to be done in just 1 year. It is that bad. On the fiscal side, California's budget is still large and still sensitive to revenue swings, like capital gains for tech fortunes can be volatile. This means that the public investment in infrastructure and services can be uneven, and local governments sometimes will have to face fiscal stress when high earners' incomes dip. Complexity and unpredictability for businesses, developers, and workers will all make California harder to navigate. compared with low-cost peers that offer simpler permitting, lower taxes, or faster approvals. So, my question is that, is California still doomed? The answer is no and yes at the same time. California's little advantages like human capital, top universities, venture capital, and the massive internal market are real, strong, massive, and durable. The problem is translating those strengths into steady growth for more people to enjoy California. This is why I said no and yes. This is a real hard work because it will have to include politics, funding, and patient implementation. But the state's recent policy experiments and pocket of recovery suggest the ingredients for a comeback are still intact. The question is whether policymakers and communities will stitch those pieces together as skill. If they cannot, California residents are really on their own. So if you enjoyed this video, I want you to check out this video that is being displayed right now. I hope to see you there soon. Bye.